Hi guys, it's Emily from Australian Frugal here, back with another pantry challenge video for you all. I have about 2 litres of milk left, almost one loaf of bread, and 0 eggs. So I am down to missing quite a few staples. So we'll have to go to the shops in the next 2 or 3 days, but for right now I'm just trying to drag it out as long as I can, because the longer in between shopping trips, if I can skip 1 or 2 shopping trips a year, obviously that's saving us money. Now, because I'm out of eggs and I really want to have something nice for breakfast, I can't have oats or anything like that because gluten-free. I was thinking rice pudding, but when I make my stovetop rice pudding, I use eggs as the thickening agent. So I'm going to attempt to make a rice pudding on the stovetop without eggs, and I think the plan at the moment is a Brisio rice. So that's the rice you use for your risottos that gives you that creamy texture. So that should help with binding. And then I'm going to substitute some of the milk in my normal recipe for thickened cream to help with that thickening again. And I'm going to cook the rice because it's that abrizo rice and I want it to thicken it. I'm going to cook the rice in that milk and cream mixture to release all that starch into the milk and cream and thicken everything up. And then I'll just flavor it at the end and we'll see how that goes. So stay tuned if you want to see that. All right, so I have about 1.5 litres of milk, and I only have maybe 200 mils of cream, so I'm going to use that. I swapped out the white sugar that I usually use for brown sugar because I'm going to go for a warmer, richer caramelized flavor, because obviously I'm skipping some of those elements, so I'm going to bring that in with the brown sugar. I've got my vanilla extract, ground cinnamon, and nutmeg to top, and I only have maybe 100 grams of the abrizo rice, so we'll see how we go. I'm literally going to very roughly eyeball all the measurements into this and start it cooking. It's going to take quite a while to cook that rice and to reduce everything down, so I'm estimating maybe 45 minutes with some stirring every few minutes to make sure that rice doesn't stick to the bottom and my cream doesn't curdle. All right, I've got my milk and my cream. I just gave it a quick whisk to combine both of those. And now I'm going to start with 1/4 cup of brown sugar to that. And I'm going to use that whisk to combine that and bring this to just under a boil until the sugar is dissolved into the cream and milk mixture. All right, so I waited on the Thermomix. This is 180 grams of rice going in. This is just under a boil. It's got these bubbles on it, and the sugar has dissolved. So I'm going to stir that through really well. And then it's at a low simmer, and I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to come check on it every 5 or so minutes to make sure it's not sticking. And I can add extra milk if I need to, but I think that should be about the right amount. All right, so it is getting very thick. It started to overflow onto my stove, so I had to move up to a bigger pot. So this is where we're at, nice and thick. I think we've been probably 10-15 minutes maybe now. I might have to move it to a smaller burner because this is the lowest setting on this burner. But it's definitely getting thick. I might actually have to even add a little extra milk to make sure that rice gets fully cooked in enough liquid before this burns. You can also see the color changing. It looks and smells like a really nice custard. And I'm going to taste it in a little bit and see if it needs more sugar. All right, so I tasted it. It tastes great. It might need a little bit more sugar for me because I'm still going to add the vanilla essence and all the other flavorings, so I want it to be a little bit sweeter. But I tasted the rice and it's still got quite a bit of bite to it, but it's not far off of being cooked. And you can see this is getting quite creamy. So I added a good splash of milk just because I was almost out of excess liquid to cook the rice in and I didn't want it to burn. So I've just given this a good stir. I'm agitating it pretty much constantly at the moment because one wrong move and it's going to burn. Now I'm going to add a little bit more sugar to this. I've also thought about I'm going to add a little bit of butter for a little extra richness. Add a little bit more fat, a little bit more richness to this as well. And I've got some dried cranberries in the cupboard I could add that might be nice, but I'll see at the end how we're looking if I want to add those in. So add a little bit more milk. So I ended up with about 2 cups of milk to 200 mils of cream. So basically 2 cups of milk to a cup of cream. I ended up doubling the brown sugar, so half a cup of brown sugar. And I did maybe 2 tablespoons of my Nuttall X butter, but you could use whatever butter. Now I'm going to add in my vanilla extract, about that much. And I might add in some cinnamon now. Stir this through. I'm going to turn the heat off and just let it finish cooking and thickening on the residual heat, which should finish cooking the last little bits of rice that might be just a little tough in the center. And then I'm going to dress this with, I actually might put a little pinch of salt in it too. But I'm going to dress this with nutmeg, cinnamon, and I might throw in some dried cranberries or raisins or sultanas if you're Australian. And that will be my breakfast. Alright, so there it is. I dressed it with the cinnamon and the nutmeg, and there is some sultanas and cranberries on top, and little Mr. nearly 8-month-old is going to have some with me. So I made his just the same, and we're going to sit down and have our breakfast now. That's a stovetop, no egg, rice pudding or creamed rice, whatever you guys call it in your house. And I'll catch you guys in there.